And then his dad is staring at him, and he just, like, looks down, and it's almost like this creature that's imitating his dad, because that's what this is. It's like he realizes he's made a mistake. So, once again, you found yourself at the campsite of the Orator. Well, please pull up a chair. As you can see, my fire is stoked, which means tonight I have another tale to tell. But before we begin, if you find yourself enjoying this video or any of the content on my page, then please allow the spirits to guide your planchette to both the like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. That way you get notified every time I upload new content, and allows me to continue to do what I love, which is telling terrifying tales. Second, all of my stories are true first-hand accounts of the supernatural and paranormal. Today comes to us from a Redditor. Their account has been deleted, but I will make sure to link the original post below. But if you or anyone you know has a story that you think might fit well on my channel, then please reach out to me on any of my social media, and then we'll basically find a time for you to share your story either via audio or you can text it to me. I will collect it and then hopefully share it one day here on the Orator. And now, with all of that out of the way, let's get on to today's story. It is a tale that I call Doppelganger. So, Chris is 20 years old, and it's the year 2019. He lives in the United States with his mom and dad in their house, and they have lived in this house for about a decade or so, and they've had literally no paranormal activity of any kind whatsoever, and it just randomly, one day, struck like lightning. So Chris is in bed with his girlfriend. It's really late at night. They're actually just about to get ready to actually go to sleep. So they've been laying in bed for a little while, just talking and maybe sitting on their phone, stuff like that. And it's just about ready to turn out the lights and go to sleep. So Chris, he gets up out of bed, and he has to go use the restroom before sleep. And so he gets up, he crosses the room, he turns off the bedroom light, and then he exits, and he goes down and goes and relieves himself in the bathroom. Couple minutes later, he exits, he comes back to his bedroom, he opens the door, and as soon as he opens the door, his girlfriend's like, "What? Who's there? Who's there?" And, like, she's clearly very concerned, and Chris is like, "It's just me. Like, I went to the bathroom. Who else would be here?" And she starts screaming, like blood-curdling screaming. And so Chris, all of a sudden, goes from calm to panic. He flips the light on, and she's just sitting up in bed, freaking out. And he's like, what's going on? And she's looking in the bed beside her, and she's looking back at Chris, and she's just screaming the whole time. And he finally goes over and he gets her calling, and he's like, "I don't know what's going on, but you need to tell me what's up." And his girlfriend finally calms down enough and says, "Chris, you walked out, and about a minute later, somebody came into the room, closed the door. It was too dark because the lights were off for me to see who it was, but then they got in bed, and I swear to God, it felt like you. They got right up next to me. They put their arms around me. We started cuddling in bed, and I was starting to fall asleep when you came in." And she's like, "But they're gone." She's looking at the spot, and she's like, "They didn't move or anything. It's just when you walked in, all of a sudden they just were not here." And she has no clue what's going on. So, of course, they check everywhere in the bedroom. They check the closet. They check under the bed. All the windows are closed. I mean, there was no way somebody had either hidden in their room or gotten out of it. And so they have really no clear explanation of how this happened. So that was back in the winter of 2019. No other incidents for quite a while, all the way until the date July 11th of 2020. Now, it's very specific that Chris remembers this date because there was a really important football game on. And him and his dad, they were pretty into football. And so his dad was actually gone, and he was watching the game, but he knew his dad was either watching or checking in on his phone because it was a really important game. And so the game concludes, and Chris, he's still sitting on the couch, just kind of hanging out, watching TV or whatever, when all of a sudden the front door opens and his dad enters. And Chris, he's not really paying attention to his dad. He's really more focused on the TV, but his dad comes in and he's just standing there in the doorway for a minute, and Chris goes, "Hey, did you see the conclusion of the game or whatever? It was pretty awesome." And his dad does not say anything. He's just totally silent. And in fact, it's so weird, it's so jarring, that it takes Chris out of his TV show, and he stops and he looks over and he sees his dad standing in the doorway, and his dad's just sort of standing there looking at him with this totally blank expression. And Chris, he notices some weird stuff about his dad as he's looking at him. The first thing he notices that's really weird is that his dad is wearing Chris's t-shirt. And he's never done that before. Like, this is so bizarre for him to have gone into Chris's room and gotten a piece of his clothing instead of just wearing his own clothes. So that's really weird. And so Chris, as he's like talking to his dad and trying to get a response out of him, he's standing up from the couch and he's walking over to him and he's talking to him. He's like, hey, are you okay? What's going on? And his dad is totally unresponsive. And then Chris all of a sudden looks down and notices his dad has 2 full, solid human legs. Now, this is normal for most people, but in 2017, his dad had severe diabetes and actually had to have his leg amputated. And so from the knee down, it was basically like one of those metal rods that connects to a foot, and that was it. And what he's looking at is a leg. And he stares at it, and then he kind of looks up at his dad, and he's in total shock. Like, this makes no sense. And then his dad is staring at him, and he just, like, looks down, and it's almost like this creature that's imitating his dad, because that's what this is. It's like he realizes he's made a mistake. It's like he tried to recreate this thing, and he flawed in doing it by creating this second leg. It's like he realized it all of a sudden, and then he looks back up, and it's like the jig is up. He just steps back through the door, slams it shut, and leaves. Now, he was working out at the shed prior to that, and Chris knew that. So he exits the house right away and runs out to the shed, and lo and behold, there's his dad, metal leg as it's supposed to be, and he's out there working in the shed. He's like, hey, Dad, what were you doing in the house? He's like, what are you talking about, the house? He said, I've been working out the shed for the last couple hours. I haven't even left this area, let alone gone into the house. And so Chris, he doesn't want to freak his dad out or anything. So he's like, oh, okay, weird. I thought I heard something. I thought I heard you come in, but I guess I must not have. But now he's really freaked out because this is 2 times that he has experienced something imitating somebody else in his house. But he's the only one, him and his girlfriend, they're really the only 2 who have experienced it. Now, his girlfriend, after that night, she never came back to his house again. She said, I don't know what that was. It made no sense to me. I'm not stepping foot in that house ever again. If you want to come see me, you can come visit my house. And so that was that for her. But now he is the only one who's in this household that has experienced this. That is until just a couple months later. His mom is working in the kitchen doing some stuff cooking, and she comes out to talk to her husband, Chris's dad, and he's sitting on the couch. Now, one of the problems with Chris's dad is that he has severe enough diabetes to where he gets what's called hypoglycemia, which is where his sugar levels drop so low that he almost gets in this weird sort of catatonic state. He can't really respond properly. He mumbles. He doesn't really move. He's slow to do stuff. It's like his body's almost shut down until it has repaired itself and fixed his blood sugar levels. And so his mom, she comes out of the kitchen, she's talking to him, and then she notices he's on the couch, and he looks like this. He's like catatonic and weird. And she didn't even know he was supposed to be home. He was supposed to be at work. And so she's like, hey, baby, what's going on? Why are you home? And he's just sitting there, and he's like catatonic, and she freaks out, thinking he's gone hypoglycemic. So she runs into the bathroom, and she finds their little medical kit. She opens it. She gets the syringe that's going to restore his blood sugar and help him out, and she runs back into the living room where he's supposed to be on the couch, and he's not there. And now she goes from freaked out because he's being hypoglycemic to freaked out because he's hypoglycemic and now gone. Like, where could he be? He needs his medicine. This is an emergency situation, and he could potentially die if he doesn't get his medicine. And so she's freaking out. She's yelling out for him. She's running all over the house. She can't find him. And so finally she picks up her phone and she calls him, and she's thinking, maybe I'll hear his phone and I can locate him that way, or maybe he'll actually pick up and I can figure out what's going on. So she calls, and she's freaking out. She's crying, and he picks up. He's like, hello? And she's like, baby, where are you? What's going on? And he's like, honey, I'm at work. What are you talking about? I told you I was at work today. I'll be at work till 6. I won't be home for a few more hours. And she doesn't quite know how to explain what happened to him, and so she just, hangs up after that. She talks to him for a minute, hangs up, and then only later does she explain this to him. And then Chris finds out about it, and he starts talking to her, and they're exchanging these stories now for the first time, and realizing that something supernatural and weird is going on in this house. And then the very last incident happens a couple months later. Chris is in the kitchen with his mom. And basically how their house is set up, there's the kitchen, and there's actually a hallway from the kitchen all the way to the front door. So if you're in the kitchen, you could stare down that hallway and you'd be able to see the front door right from there. And so they're in the kitchen, and they're just kind of talking and stuff. And all of a sudden, their doggy door opens, and their dog walks inside. The problem with this is that their dog passed away from old age a week ago. So this is not possible. But it's their dog, and it walks right in, and it just stands there, and it's looking at it. And Chris turns and looks at it, and the mom looks at it, and she starts freaking out right away, and she goes, oh my God, that thing, it turned into our dog. Like, she knows what's going on here. And Chris, he's not scared, he's angry, because this thing is coming in and imitating people he loves, a dog he loved that passed away. And this thing is invading his home, invading their privacy, scaring them. And so he is angry at this thing. And he looks right at the dog and he says, I know you're not our dog. Our dog died. Get the out of here. And then the dog, it like looks up at him, and then it utters this weird noise. It's not a bark or anything a dog would make. It's like if you were to step on a cat's tail really hard, like hissed at him, and then it turned and ran out the door. And after him and his mom saw that together, that was it for them. The dad came home, they sat down and had a discussion, and literally that week, they put their house up on the market and they decided to move away. And after they moved, they never had any incidents again ever after that. But Chris says, from this, now, it's only a couple years, but he's like, me and my parents, we look back on those few months, and it's like, what triggered it? How did this happen? What was this thing, and why was it invading our home and our privacy and replicating our loved ones? And so that's going to do it for today's story. If you find yourself enjoying this tale or any of the others like it on my channel, then please allow the spirits to guide your planchette to both the like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. That way you get notified every time I upload new content, and it allows me to continue to do what I love, which is telling terrifying tales. Second, of course, all of my stories are true, first-hand accounts of the supernatural and paranormal. I will link today's story from the original poster down below. But if you or anybody you know has a story that might fit well on my channel, please reach out to me on my social media, and then we'll just find a time to collect your story and then hopefully one day feature it here on the Orator. And so, until next time, where you'll pull up your chair, my fire will be stoked, and I will have another tale to tell.